Well, the Cardinals just had what was easily their worst game of the season. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, that Carolina game was worse, but the Cardinals were starting their backup quarterback against Carolina, and we had Kyler Murray against a team that was 1-11-1. So altogether, I think this is still a worse game than that Carolina loss. You can give them a pass on that one. So let's talk about what went wrong. First, the play calling was not great. I'm a believer in Cliff. I think he does a great job designing plays, but I think there's some issues with the play calling. They had a goal-to-go situation in which James Conner didn't even get one touch. The man has 14 touchdowns this year. The man has a nose for the end zone, and he's good in goal-to-go situations. Having a goal-to-go situation without at least one touch to Conner, to me, seems unfathomable. That wasn't the only issue. I think they needed to be running the ball much more earlier in the game. In fact, they came out in the third quarter, ran the ball, and ran it effectively. Now I get they were behind in the third quarter, and maybe, the Lions were playing the pass more at that point, but the Cardinals clearly were not effective passing the ball early in the game. I think they need to run the ball more early, set up more manageable second and third downs, sustain drives, and put the team in positions where they're not having to make these deep throws and play hero ball. I get that Kyler is probably as good as anybody in the league at making those plays when he's on, but when he's off, we have a game like this. Which leads me to my next observation. Kyler Murray was off. In fact, this is 2 weeks in a row where he has just seemed off in terms of his ball placement. He had some good throws, but there were a couple interceptions last week, one interception this week, and multiple throws where he just seemed to get the ball not the right spot. Many of them were short throws that he's been making all year. Just something doesn't seem right. I'm not sure if it's lingering effects of the injury, if he's pressing, or if it's something else. But whatever the reason, Kyler just isn't looking like the Kyler we saw earlier in the season. The third thing that went wrong is something that has been vexing this team all year, and that's the run defense. Craig Reynolds, a guy who's been on practice squads and bouncing around the league since coming out as an undrafted free agent, ran for 112 yards against the Cardinals. They've struggled against the run all year, and they struggled again today. But unfortunately, it wasn't just the run defense that struggled, because the pass defense was also an issue. Jared Goff looked like Tom Brady today. He only passed for 216 yards, but he had 3 touchdowns and was super efficient. Goff may be a better quarterback than a lot of people think, but he's not that good. And this Cardinals passing defense has been one of their strengths this year, but this week it wasn't. And I think that's related to one of the other things that went wrong, and that is some key injuries to players that are very important to this team. On the defensive side, Robert Alford was out. Now, I know Robert Alford isn't a name we talk about a lot, but he was quietly having a really good season for the Cardinals and was their most consistent cornerback this year. And I think him being out made a difference in terms of the pass defense. But the Cardinals also struggled to get consistent pressure on the quarterback. They did end up with 2 sacks, but it felt like Jared Goff was able to have time to make things happen all game. And on the other side of the ball, obviously we know the Cardinals are missing DeAndre Hopkins, and that matters. But I think the bigger loss is Rodney Hudson. Rodney Hudson, as that center, helps set up everything on that offensive line. He helps make sure people know their assignments, and he helps keep pressure off of Kyler Murray. I think missing Hudson is a big reason this Cardinals offense looks out of sorts. And it might be part of the reason Kyler's off too. There were a lot of other things that went wrong as well. Issues with penalties, a few missed opportunities in terms of interceptions and passes that weren't caught. Across the board, this was an ugly game against a team that was 1-11-1. The Cardinals need to clean up these things. And if you're looking for a silver lining, maybe there's hope that this will be a wake-up call that helps the Cardinals get things cleaned up, get back to that 1-0 mentality, and hopefully be ready to compete when it matters in the playoffs. Please do me a favor and click like on this video. It really helps in terms of the algorithm on YouTube and helping people find out about my channel. And if you are a Cardinals fan or just a fan of the NFL in general and would like to know more about what's going on with the Cardinals, consider subscribing to my channel. I post Cardinals content every week, I do live streams, and I think you'll really enjoy my content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on The Cardinal Rule.